So you find yourself sandwiched between the higher ups in the organization whom you have to answer to, and you also have your team members that you have to mentor, and both parties are watching you closely. They expect you not only to show up, they expect you to deliver and to exceed expectations. You start getting overwhelmed by their feedback. Have you ever been tempted to hold a grudge against either of these groups for speaking a truth that challenged your comfort zone? In this video, we are going to look at how to positively handle criticism, especially if you are in a leadership role, without losing your cool. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy, and here's where I mostly discuss topics on matters leadership, professional growth, and career advancement. So if you're stopping by for the very first time and this is the type of content that resonates with you, kindly consider subscribing and pressing the bell, and you will be notified whenever I release a new video. The moment you stepped into a leadership position, your head was exposed above your peers, and this means that your qualities made their way to the magnifying glass, and so did your shortcomings. Criticism is a part of any leadership role. This is regardless of how new or how seasoned you may be in that office. Constructive or challenging as it may be, feedback is essential for growth and most importantly for accountability. So your competence is going to be weighed on one hand, and on the other, your emotional wellness is going to be tested in handling the feedback coming your way. So hopefully by the end of this video, you will not only be able to identify the types of criticism, but you'll also be able to handle it constructively and use it as a catalyst for improvement. You know, the difference between constructive and destructive criticism depends largely on how the feedback is delivered and how you receive it. Constructive feedback is out to help you improve on your service delivery. So it focuses on specific actionable points over personal judgments. This is not about you, it's about your role, and the feedback is meant to build you. Just a few examples, if you receive feedback over your communication style, your team members may be struggling with how you communicate with them. So constructive feedback is going to show up in the form of them asking you to be clearer in your direction, maybe more approachable so that they don't have to sweep everything under the rug and try to figure out solutions by themselves, where your help will literally save on time. Or maybe they feel like you could listen to them more before deliberating on aspects affecting them directly, and they're asking you to communicate with more empathy. They want you to use everyday language so you can both understand each other. And these are opportunities for you to step up and ask for more team participation in meetings. Just consider your decision-making approach. Maybe you're perceived as either too slow to decide or too fast in your decision-making to consult, and your team members are craving that balanced approach that respects both urgency and inclusivity. So these are the moments where you want to understand the behavioral traits of your team members. Look at their nonverbal cues and see if you can sense their struggle. Then delegate smaller decisions to free up space for yourself, for big picture issues. Taking time to gather more information and opinions before making a final decision is going to give you greater perspective. You also want to look into delegation and empowerment, and this is especially so if you lean on the perfectionist realm, where you may experience difficulty trusting others before testing their work. This means that you can be critiqued for your inability to delegate effectively. So constructive criticism here is going to encourage you to trust your team members more and empower them to take on more responsibilities that will help develop their skills. Just consider allowing your team members to take on responsibilities, projects that are going to help them grow without putting the organization in danger. This is your way of helping them step up and be more accountable, which is still going to pay off in the long run. Constructive criticism is crucial because it is going to target areas that directly impact your ability to lead effectively. So you'll find that it's more of descriptive and less judgmental. And the plan is to set the floor for open communication. And then destructive criticism, on the other hand, is more negative and often personal. Unlike constructive criticism, which aims to build, destructive criticism is given in a way that is very negative and unhelpful. And the aim is to tear you down. So it's going to come in with a more patronizing and judgmental feel to it. No, more like people pointing invisible fingers at you for falling short of the expectations. And you may feel like your authority is diluted and confidence lowered. So this is where your critic matters more than the feedback, and it can come across as ill-intended, even have a direct negative impact on your reputation, and in some cases even affect your self-esteem. Just a few examples, people attacking you on your character and personality. You're not given the specifics on the actions or behaviors where you have to work on, where you need to work on, but there's that general conclusion that your character is flawed, you're too controlling, you're not a people person, and more vague statements that just leave you no room for improvement. Or maybe your team members are undermining your leadership capabilities publicly. That moment when you find your colleagues wondering out loud if your work is too much for you, or if you truly are the right fit to be leading them, and they unpack everything that makes you an imperfect fit in their eyes. Just imagine in a meeting someone saying, your decisions are making everyone's job harder. Or maybe, do you really know how we should go about this project? Public questioning of a leader's competence can breed resentment. And then just come to think of also the hypercritical focus on the small mistakes that you make. Those moments where your faults are exaggerated, and instead of recognizing that everyone makes mistakes, minor errors are blown out of proportion to imply incompetence on your part. So you'll find that this type of criticism focuses on faults without acknowledging any accomplishments or improvements. When you hear statements like, how do you expect to teach your team if you can't even handle a simple task correctly? Just look at how the last report turned out. The last thing you want is to lower morale at the workplace, because it is going to play out in the overall workplace culture and eventually affect the return on investment. So the best approach is to strike when the iron is hot. Consider and address the criticism effectively when it arises. Then you may have also heard of instructive criticism, which is closely tied to constructive. And here is where others put themselves in your shoes. They give you feedback and solutions, mostly from personal experiences, and also adding on to your experience. But for the sake of this video, we are going to just stick to the two, destructive and constructive. If you're getting value from this video, please type yes in the comments if you've experienced constructive or destructive criticism, or if any type of criticism has altered your emotions in any way, shape, or form. So having come thus far, you're probably asking yourself, how do I handle criticism without getting overwhelmed? I'm going to share with you 5 constructive ways to handle criticism without losing emotional real estate. At number 1, get serious, not personal. You want to take criticism seriously and not personally, such that you ask yourself if there's truth to the feedback, why it's affecting you so much, and what you can do to change the situation. Sometimes your critics may be right, but they may lack the grace to critique you with tact. So this is also a good time to bring the dominant side of your brain to work. If you're right brain dominant, you'll find yourself analyzing the criticism from multiple perspectives because you're more open-minded. You are more non-judgmental. So tactless as the critic and painful as the criticism may be, you're more focused on the bigger picture. So you'll find yourself looking for creative ways to handle it and probably connect more with your team members. If you're left brain dominant, you're going to find yourself taking the criticism under the microscope to analyze each and every detail of what was said and how it was said, because you need the facts. You operate with logic. So if the truth is staring at you right in the face, take a step back. Work on the criticism and not on the critic. And then at number 2, check your emotions before you react. Criticism can sometimes trigger defensiveness, and this is natural. This is your brain's way of going into protective mode from emotional threat. And this is where you want to understand everything you heard before you start filling in the gaps by what you thought you had or what you think they meant to say. if you went into leadership thinking that this is a popularity contest, you're going to have a harder time taking negative feedback. But if you went in with a heart to serve, then it's going to be easier to stay composed, even in the face of very hard to swallow criticism. And this is where your credibility is going to be measured. So before overreacting, evaluate the situation at hand. At number 3, look for the hidden opportunity in the criticism. And this is where you treat criticism as an opportunity to improve, OTI. This is a term we used to use a lot in the aviation industry to get better tomorrow at what we struggle with today at work. So if you notice patterns, you notice similarities in criticism that seem to come from 3 or more parties of people who do not even know each other, you could be looking at opportunities to strengthen your skills. So put the areas that have been brought up under the microscope. Commit to working on those areas relentlessly until you get better. Leadership is going to call on you to process the feedback fast. Pivot if you've been doing things the same way for a long time and it's now causing discomfort within your team. Then push yourself to better your skills. Reinvent yourself to be more resourceful to the organization, to yourself, and to your team. You may come across people who don't believe you deserve to be in that role. So constantly improving on yourself is going to quiet that noise. And then at number 4, listen good and listen hard. In leadership, criticism comes with the territory. To whom much is given, much is required. So if no one is criticizing you, chances are high that you're not leading effectively, or someone is afraid of getting themselves in trouble. You'll have to make unpopular decisions, which can leave people feeling a little bit salty about you. So before you think of witch hunting those who speak up in your team, take a step back, turn up the volume, put your ego in your pocket. This could be an outcry from your team members over something that, if you could only listen and take appropriate action and fast, your credibility is going to experience a major boost. Listen to what is being said. Ask questions if possible to get to the core of the situation so that you can deal with it once and for all. And this is where you listen to understand first, not to respond, and not because your role demands it of you. Active listening is going to help you differentiate between the valid points and the criticism that is based on emotions. So if you notice that the feedback stems from personal biases, consider this as just another person's opinion or someone who's made a rash judgment. You're safer not internalizing every negative comment to avoid getting drained and feeling overwhelmed. At number 5, respond constructively. The higher up you climb in leadership, the less genuine feedback you will receive. Your team members want to be in your good books. So even if the criticism feels harsh, you want to thank the people who step up to speak, because it takes courage on one hand, and they could also be right. So in cases of negative feedback, gratitude is going to disarm your critics and actually keep the conversation positive. Just using phrases like, "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'll definitely look into it. I see your point. These are a few places to start." And this works better than playing the victim because it shows mental strength and composure in a leadership role. Playing the victim is the easiest way to get stereotyped and actually weaken your authority. So you'll notice that people have difficulty respecting a leader who actually plays the victim because they're not convinced of how well you can handle pressure, intensity, uncertainty, everything that comes with being a leader. So you want to tell yourself, it is less to do with the critic and more to do with the feedback. There's no effort without errors. Just ask Theodore Roosevelt, You'll make mistakes, and that's where growth will happen. And then consider criticism from people in your field and those who understand your journey. They have credibility backing, and for the most part, they have your interests at heart. Then when you look inwards, use humility and transparency as your guiding principles, as your guiding light. When you put yourself out there, you're going to be criticized, and it's okay to be vulnerable. But much as you put yourself in other people's shoes, it's important to invite them into your personal reality. Let them see the effort you put in to make things better for both sides. So basically, embrace the feedback, not the critic. I probably said this more than 3 times in this video, but it's that serious, it's that important. Let your team members understand that you genuinely care about their concerns. And when it gets really overwhelming, you have your truth sayers in your inner circle. These are people who are going to help you put everything into perspective so that you can confidently stand on your own 2 feet. If you found this video helpful, kindly consider subscribing for more leadership tips. I also made this video right here on how to stay mentally fit in a leadership role, and it goes hand in hand with managing high pressure situations at the workplace. See you on the next one. Bye.